This is my second video about my understanding of the Destiny tools, and it's called The Urgency of the Destiny Tools because I realized my first video where I explained my understanding was incomplete. Um, and then I realized I could probably make 100 videos about this topic. But in this video, I want to talk about the urgency of the Destiny tools, meaning there is an urgency in the world where people need to realize the their part in the whole and their oneness and equality with the whole, which implies their responsibility for the whole. Um, because we live in a world of consequence, and you don't have to look very far to see that the consequence is fast approaching, where for generations we've lived as if there were no consequences, but um, the world is becoming smaller, or so it seems, as the consequences start approaching our doorsteps. And within Destiny and the proposition for the equal money system, it has been realized that the main unifying underlying factor of the cause and effect of all these consequences is the economic system, because within this current economic system we can't change any of the human processes such as manufacturing, food production, material goods, education systems, healthcare, rehabilitation. I mean, everything. Everything is funded by the economic system, which is not designed to provide basically enough for anything. Um, it's designed to it's designed based in self-interest, and therefore whoever has the means to accumulate wealth can, and so it goes to those who can get it more easily and away from those who don't have access. And many people don't even have the option to have access. Like in countries where unemployment is rampant, people don't even have the option to get a job to make money. Able-bodied people who are willing to work do not have that option. Um, so the urgency for people to realize that this system that affects us all is the result of human decisions, and it obviously needs to be replaced. And it just because it's not affecting us in developed countries and it's not affecting everybody, it's only affecting people who, I mean, if it's affecting you, you probably don't have much of a voice to uh, demand change. I'm talking about people who don't have internet access, people who basically have to spend their days just trying to survive. So, um, these problems, I mean, whether it's poverty or uh, pollution or environmental degradation, um, eventually these consequences are going to reach everyone. It's just a matter of time. And that's where the urgency comes in. Until the economic system changes, we can't we can't implement any kind of real change. I mean, if we could, it would have been done by now. We have the technology, it's here. We have many solutions ready and available, but prohibitive pricing or the lack of profit making stops these things from being distributed and implemented on any kind of scale that matters. Because the only things that survive and prosper in this world are the things that make people money. And those things aren't necessarily beneficial to anyone. And for the most part, it seems that the more destructive they are, the more profitable they are. And I'm talking factory farming, products that are made cheaply of very polluting materials that break easily, that just end up in the landfill, that require slave labor to be made, and the list goes on in terms of destructive products and services that this economic system supports and promotes, and what flourishes within this economic system. The only way we're going to be able to change the economic system is if we change the source of the economic system, which I had mentioned was human agency, human decision making. So until the human changes, the systems that emerge from the mind of the human aren't going to change. The Destiny tools provide for this change on an individual level. One by one, we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our minds so that that which we do produces a result that's best for all. So those decisions that we make in our lives, consider the whole, consider our part and place in the whole, and the outflows of our decisions create benefits to the world and to each other. And things like respect for one another, doing unto another as we would have done unto us, loving thy neighbor, all the teachings and principles that involve actually caring for life on this earth. And I'm not just talking about human life, I'm talking about all life, because human life depends on everything else. In fact, we depend on other life forms and the natural world and environment more so than it depends on us. In fact, if we weren't here, everything would be fine. So we really need to treat that which sustains us and supports us with the amount of dignity and respect that we ourselves would expect. So the Destiny tools provide for this way of thinking because we're not taught to think this way in this society. We're taught to compete and survive and to claw our way to the top with absolutely no regard for the life that we have to stomp on in order to bring ourselves up the ranks of society. That's what we're taught in our schools and at work and in our games that we learn from childhood and in video games and everything, it seems, sports, everything, it seems, promotes this way of thinking, and we are literally indoctrinated, brainwashed, I would even go so far as to say, by these principles of survival of the fittest and self-interest, self-interest without a consideration for others, and greed. I mean, the greedier you are and the less you consider those around you, the more successful you're likely to be in this world. So we live in a consequential world that needs a new economic system, which can only come from a new human, a new way of thinking. And nothing's going to come and change the way we are. We have to do it ourselves. We have to individually rewire the way we think, the way we've been taught to think, because we're having millions of thoughts and we don't even have control over them because we're taught from when we're little that this is the way it is. And this is the way we have to be to survive, and that takes a lot of focus to change. And the Destiny tools provide the platform of self-support through writing that can actually give you back control over these thoughts that run through the mind. And there is another way of thinking, and there is another there. If you can change the way you think, you can change that which comes from your endeavors. The product of your human actions will change. Um, and it's not. This is not some benevolent thing that I'm saying. Like, let's all change and be loving and happy. I'm saying the uh, the consequences in this world are such that change is going to be required, or our annihilation. And in order for a change to be beneficial and not repeat the same mistakes, we have to start thinking differently than we've been trained. Thank you.